Anita Dunn was White House Communications Director during President Obama's first term. She's here with me in New York. Anita, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on, Elaine.
So, President Trump billed Monday as his first full day of business. We saw a number of presidential memoranda, including one dealing with TPP, the trade agreement, backing out of that agreement with other Asian nations. But essentially, that deal is not something that had support in Congress. That was largely symbolic. What would you say, though, would be the administration's message on this first full day?
Clearly, the Trump administration came to work this morning wanting to communicate that they were getting down to business, that they were going to get things done, that they were going to move forward, and particularly on TPP, even though, as you point out, it was symbolic because it's never been ratified by Congress. It was a key campaign pledge for this president, one that he probably said at nearly every rally that he went to. And so it's a strong signal to his supporters that he's keeping his word. So it's an important day for him, and much better than his weekend.
And so some people have noted that the executive actions that he's taken essentially follow a template set by President Obama in his own executive actions. What would you say to that?
I would say that it's a very good playbook, and that President Trump is showing that he's not going to wait for Congress, even though he controls Congress. I think one of the biggest surprises he is about to face is that the pace of Congress isn't exactly the pace he may be expecting or may be anticipating. So, but the executive actions, I think, were very symbolic, but they were important messages that he sent to his supporters.
And so are you happy with that precedent that was established?
You know, President Obama, for the first 2 years he was in office, worked through the legislature. Once the legislature refused to work with him, he did what he could, how he could do it. I think that, you know, as President Trump will learn, legislation lasts a lot longer than executive actions do.
So let me ask you about the Women's March. You participated in a march in Sarasota, Florida.
I did.
How many women showed up for that?
They estimate over 10,000. The prevalent emotion from everyone I spoke with down there was, we never expected to see so many people here.
So then the question is for Democrats, how do they capitalize on that? How do they harness that energy and enthusiasm?
Well, I think a lot of people are asking themselves that and spent Saturday saying, look at all these people, look at this energy. What do we do with it? So people are looking at different things. I think one place that it should and probably will be channeled will be into the upcoming Supreme Court nomination. You know, during the campaign, Donald Trump pledged to nominate a justice who would be committed to overturning Roe versus Wade. Well, you know, the majority of women, the majority of people in the United States disagree with that. That's out of the mainstream thinking, but it's also about women's reproductive freedom and choice. So I think that you could certainly see channeling a lot of that energy and activism into the Supreme Court fight.
All right, let's talk about President Obama. He's going to have to decide whether to use his profile to criticize the Trump administration, which, as you know, would be a break from precedent where previous presidents have sat back and held any kind of criticism out of deference to the current sitting president. What do you think the risks might be? How would you advise him on whether or not to weigh in over the course of a Trump administration?
Well, I think what President Obama has said is that, you know, he certainly doesn't intend to be out there doing rapid response every day, nor should he, nor would it be appropriate. And we have to let other people in this political party start to take leadership roles, the leaders of the future. It's time to do that. But that on issues that he believes, you know, go right to the heart of who we are as a nation, he will speak out if he feels it's an appropriate thing for him to do. The other thing President Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama did over the weekend was put out a video asking supporters, asking everybody really to send their ideas for what their foundation should do, and making a commitment that it too would be about training the next generation of leaders without any politics involved, of course. And I think that what President Obama is looking to do is really create a situation where other people step up and lead, not just him.
All right. Anita Dunn, a pleasure to have you with us. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Elaine.